Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Hi, and welcome back to Realistic Sustainability. I'm Mike, and I am here with my brother, Nick.
Hi, everybody. I'm back.
Nick is recording from his very special studio.
Yeah, by special studio, he actually means in my car, in my driveway, because as much as I love my house, as much as I love my 3 little fur babies, they love to bark. And I want to stay as far away from that barking as I can.
It does definitely disrupt the show occasionally, and I say that because not that I don't think, they have like once or twice. Sheldon has several times.
He just loves his daddy so much, Michael.
I don't know if I've shown you this, but have you seen my legs from this dog's love? I have massive scarring now from knees down. It looks like I've been cut over and over and over again, which I have, because that dog lays on the ground and like runs on his side, scraping at my legs in excitement. And he has cut me open so many times that my legs are now like permanently scarred, both of them, and then a lot, not a little. So the next time we hang out, I got to show you. It is ridiculous.
I will check out your legs.
That's creepy. You're right. I think you did that on purpose to get my attention.
I did that on purpose because I thought it'd be funny. I think that when you do the editing and you listen to this whole interaction, you listen to the way you opened it, you'll see why I did that.
Okay, fair enough. Anyways, I am ridiculously exhausted. I don't know. I think you might have caught on to that when I logged in, but getting this house done and doing all this stuff is definitely eating up any free time, and my big chunky butt is getting tired.
I don't disagree. I feel you. I think that right now both of us have so much stuff going on that it is a struggle to maintain the same level of energy throughout the day, especially since I don't have any magic mind right now.
Yeah, we will definitely talk about that later. But I don't know. I mean, there's good stuff too. Yes, the house stuff is wearing me out. Any mistake I can make, I am doing so at the moment. This is becoming the world's longest project. But I did get good news today. Dabble got a grant.
Grants are awesome.
Yeah, I like grants. Grants are the ones you don't have to pay back. So I got a phone call today from Shiawassee County Economic Development, and they informed me today that Dabble has received a $5,000 grant for equipment. So we'll be able to replace all the chairs in here, add some printing capacity, and finally start getting robotics for STEM.
That's amazing.
So that's exciting. That makes me pretty darn happy. So tonight I'll be going through and shopping for things that I've been wanting to get here for some time. And hopefully we can get some kids doing some robotics out here.
That'd be amazing. It's a lot of fun. I love watching kids' eyes light up when they start to put together that kind of stuff, when you learn how to make them functional. Because, I mean, most of the time when you see these groups of kids doing robotics, they really just build robots to fight each other, which I love. I think it's amazing. However, I'm sure there's other purposes for that.
There's a couple of different styles. There's some Vex robotics, and those are the ones you're manually controlling. You're building them to do the mechanic side. And then there's the Lego Spike, which is learning to program it at the same time. And so that way kids can learn, and some adults can learn both the mechanical side and the software side, at least at a base level. So as they get older, and if they want to become an engineer or just want to join the robotics team when they get older, they can. They have all that base knowledge. And I know you're going to be super surprised. That actually leads us into our topic today.
Really?
Yeah. I don't usually do transitional material, if you will. But talking about the robotics, this week we're talking about a topic I think we visited in season 2, which was automation. Automation and AI this time. We're adding AI to the automation because, first of all, they should go hand in hand, right? And second of all, a lot of robotics is part of this. So, see, I took the grant to robotics to our topic.
That's where I go. Great job, Michael. You're great with segues, and here's your gold star. Am I right?
Almost like we've done this before and we call ourselves professionals, which we're not. It was a happy accident, much like the trees and some paintings.
You leave those little happy trees out of it, okay? And yes, we have been doing this a long time. I would never ever call myself a professional. Heaven knows that if I was a professional talker, I would get paid for it. Not that I would do this for money, but you understand what I mean. Like if I could get paid to talk, oh, they'd never see my face on anything ever again. It'd just be my voice.
Right, right. So automation in some ways has changed since the last time we've had this conversation. After COVID, it was almost like any software that companies have been hanging on to or working on that could help automation seems to have been released. I don't believe necessarily that companies had the shortage of labor they said they did. I think it was one of those, hey, look, we're short on labor. Let's now roll out the software when they wanted to roll out the software either way.
So I've never really bought into the fact there was a shortage on labor. I think that when they have a narrative that fits their big picture, they just run with it. It was the same thing when they said there was a chain shortage, like that never actually happened. And they want to push a certain ideal, a certain idea, principle, whatever their narrative is, and that's what they go with. So in this case, oh, it's a labor shortage. No, there's no labor shortage. There's a unwillingness of people to work for slave wages to do things they don't want to do in like high stress and high dangerous environment. It's not a labor shortage. Maybe it's an unwillingness, like it's a wage shortage. Maybe they don't want to pay, so no one's going to do the work. But the people exist.
It's basically once you buy the machine, the maintenance is cheaper than a human.
Yeah.
And companies have huge amounts of money right now. Not all of them. I mean, there are some that refuse to change throughout the time and they have to go now. That's the big lots of the world, right? TGI Fridays, the ones that never evolved, they get to drop off of the stock market. It's just like Sears and Kmart did. But the ones that did work to evolve, the ones that did continue to stride, they took a lot of this technology and used it to their advantage. I know just from being an engineer, a lot of it is used on a regular basis, especially in production plants. Automation
Yeah.
is a big part of how we produce things.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. They have to be automated. A lot of these factories do because they have to produce things in bulk. If we made one single car a day, then there would be no nationwide driving fleet. They pump out thousands of vehicles a day.
Right. Well, and I think that one thing we should clarify real quick is the term artificial intelligence. What this really means is tricks you into thinking it's smart, right? It is a software program, a large database memory software program that uses if then statements to kind of make it feel like it's alive. It make it seem like it's intelligent. It's making intelligent decisions, but really what it's doing is collecting information and making decisions based on that data. I know a lot of people get freaked out about AI. AI is not your sentient computer. It is just giving the illusion of intelligence.
Okay, I'm going to say something really confrontational, but by your definition, that is a large amount of people I've known throughout my life.
Those are still people. Well, they're sentient beings. They're still making decisions and they can reproduce and they take in sustenance. They have additional attributes that that computer doesn't.
Right. But still,
One of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years is how AI has been integrated into systems. It's different when you get on some websites and there's a chat bot. It might take you a minute or two before you say, oh, this is a bot, not a person. There's software now becoming embedded in production lines that kind of reads how quickly the machines and the people are working together and adjust the speed accordingly. It functions in a more intelligent and efficient way. Same thing with when you're online and you go to type something in, certain things are saved in Google, but it now has a different style of predictive text. It's now looking at more than just few keys that you type in, but it's now paying attention to the website. It's now paying attention to the time, the date, your location, all these things to predict.
yeah.
And humans are by nature pattern creatures. When I get into the vehicle tomorrow, knowing that I need to be at a certain place at a certain time every month, When I plug my phone in, the GPS is going to go, are you still going there? Then I'm going to say yes and click the button and go. It is now predictive.
I think it has been for a while. I think it's a little more. I think a lot of the stuff has actually existed longer than what we really realize. I think it just depended on what companies we were dealing with. You know what I'm saying? How often we come into contact with it.
Right. But I don't think they're using it nearly to the full potential of even where it's at now. It's being added, and it's almost like they're flipping one dip switch at a time. It is this automation combined with AI is reducing things like environmental impact of certain aspects of factories or how we farm, different things like that. It's wildly improving efficiencies and it's making things more consistent. It's reducing waste and it's conserving resources. And that's what we're seeing over the last couple of years of how it's helpful.
I mean, I would hope so. If they can continue to develop it and put more money into it, you would want it to be helpful. I mean, ideally, as technology evolves consistently, just all it does over time is reduce the manpower needed to perform certain functions and jobs. So you want it to be helpful. That's the whole point of technology. If it's not helpful, why do we have it?
It's getting slowly embedded into all aspects of life. Now, before we go too far, remember, not everybody likes this stuff. Not everybody sees the benefit of it, and there will always be people who push against it, but they will primarily fall behind. When I was talking business, I brought up Big Lots as an example who just went out of business. When companies don't adapt, they don't get to play in the space anymore. Same thing's going to happen to individuals if they don't adapt to technology. They're not going to be able to do the things they once did. They're going to be on the outside of it. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Some of it may seem spooky. It is designed to make humans' lives better and easier, but it also has some unintended consequences that come with it.
As all new things do. With every good comes bad, and maybe not necessarily bad, but there's always going to be unintended consequences, there's any side effects of things. When you drop a paddle in water, you don't know where the waves are going to go. So it's just, you kind of have to just see how it plays out. I don't pretend to love it. I don't like chatbots. I don't like anything that technology generally does when it comes to trying to trick me into talking to a person. I do love automated machinery. I do love the simplicity it gives me in life. I even kind of like oh God, have you seen I'm trying to think of the correct way to say this, Michael, so don't make fun of me. It's when you go to a fast food place, generally it's a person. Well, now they've got the AI, like the voice bots and whatnot. Well, I went through one the other day and it's like a coffee machine. That's all it is coffee. And it's a coffee vending machine, but it's voice activated. And it was just wonderful. Like, it sounds ridiculous. That's how you get to my heart, but it was beautiful, Mike. Beautiful.
So there's certain parts of jobs that I think people don't like to do. Even at fast food, they were talking about how, like, when you go to Burger King, it's welcome to Burger King, where you rule. How many times have you actually heard a person say that with any kind of enthusiasm? So now when you pass through, you get this recording that comes across that has this, nice, wonderful voice. Now, the weird part is that voice never matches the other person. So you always get this, like, let's say, nice young lady, welcome to Burger King where you rule. Then, how can we help you? And you say something, and then this very deep voice comes across, like, would you like fries with that? Yeah. So it will throw you off. It should get to a point where it's recording and is able to function with the person's voice that is there. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Or the kiosk where you can go inside and order, which can speed things up also, or just simply using an app, or just finding more digital ways to do business.
So before COVID, I mean, this is going back a couple of years, like 2019 or so, the Arby's in Birchrock, which anyone that listens to this that doesn't live in Michigan is roughly 10 to 12 minutes north of the city that I live in. I live in Clio. It's the next city north. You'd pull into the drive-thru and he'd be like, welcome to Arby's. We've got the meats or something to that effect. Well, it was always a different voice. So one night I go there after work and I pull up and it's like, welcome to Arby's, where we've got the meats in this sultry, seductive voice. And I was like, I'm taking all the meats. And I was joking around with, like this recording, and it's just a recording. I'm just sitting running my mouth to it. And then I hear this real deep voice like, man, you want to beef with cheddar or not? I'm like, my bad. I was very confused. I had no idea that it's just a recording. And that I had found out that the manager would make a new recording every week, and then they would just play every time someone pulls up the drive-through. It would play before the attendant would take your order and stuff. But I thought that was hilarious. And then because I pulled it to the window, and I experienced the recording, and then I experienced this angry voice to pull up to the window. And then there's this meek little tiny lady, and I'm like, the recording was none of you. What is going on? And they had to explain it to me, and I thought it was hilarious.
So there's a ton of different things that are happening in business that are different. Some of them good, some of them are bad. I can tell you in the industry, and production plants and things of that nature, some companies have really started to utilize it more and more. There are several in China that have really created some interesting environments. Like there's just no people. It's all machines, it's all automated, it's all sensed from the system itself as a smart system.
Yeah.
And I don't think most companies need us anymore. They keep us on because it's a little easier because it's hard to boss around the computer. But I think some of it's more social than it is required. And as labor moves up, they'll just eliminate it, right? It's not necessarily something they actually need at the moment.
I agree and I disagree. They need labor there, but it's not for the reason that most people would assume. They know that the general public is going to have the same response to anything new. It's going to be a huge backlash and a big hissy fit, and then eventually it's going to be business as normal. People are still going to get their quarter pounder. People are still going to get their Whopper or their beef and cheddar or whatever it is they like for their fast food place. However, when you talk about completely automating the entirety of a fast food restaurant, I use fast food restaurants. I think it's the easiest type of place to automate. The next would be a convenience store. Because you just turn the store into a giant vending machine. It doesn't actually sound that difficult. And then at that point, you could make that a drive-through too. But you could automate the entire inside of a fast food place. The thing is that that's going to take a huge investment of capital. You're talking hundreds of thousands of stores, depending on how many are owned by corporate versus independent franchise owners and stuff like that. And then how long until that hissy fit wears off? Like, how long are you at the weather storm? How many sales are you going to lose in that quarter, that half, 2 quarters before you have to either give in or just say, okay, well, we lost $3 billion this year. I just don't think they're brave enough to take the swing. I think they're going to do it incrementally so it's not one big at one time.
Yeah, and most do because you run test markets and you start to roll them out in different areas. You always start in regions that are more receptive, and then you move to the other ones from there. But I will tell you, like in Italy, when I was there, and it's been what, 8 years, 10 years since I've been there now. The gas stations didn't have employees. It was pull up and get gas, and then the building was just basically a vending machine. You want cigarettes, you put your ID in there and you push the button for what you want, or some had drinks and other stuff, candy bars or whatever it was. You just put your card in there, pick the things you want, and buy it. It was just a big vending machine. And I don't think I ever saw an employee working a gas station.
If there was one, it'd probably be someone in the center of the building. There's probably honestly one hallway to an office. The hallway only exists to refill any stock that may have unexpectedly went empty throughout the course of a day's business. I wouldn't see a reason why you have to have very many people there. And also, there'd have to be a bathroom. But also, of all the places I get why they don't automate, I really don't understand why we don't have those here. But also, on the flip side, it might just be the fact of the matter is how many people we have in this country. And it's not, there's a lot of people here. Some states are more obviously densely populated than others, but like just may not be a feasible option for here. Maybe not all of here. I would never try that in Montrose. It would be a nightmare. But on the flip side, if you tried that in like New York City, you'd probably get away with it just fine.
Right. Well, and AI has been integrated into so many different things. Like we have a friend of ours who her job is logistics, being able to tell which drivers to go to which places and in which order to maximize the efficiency. Now there's just software. You put in the vehicles, you put in the locations, and out comes the map. For each person, it automatically downloads into their trucks. Driver hops in, shuts the door, turns it on, follows the line.
Yeah, well, in this particular situation, it makes sense to have that automated. And it's not knocking anyone that does that job or has done that job. But the fact of the matter is that it's like even if, on your personal use, if you just use Google Maps and you need GPS, to get you somewhere, it factors in traffic difficulties in terms of the volume of people going down a certain road, construction, traffic stops, accidents, what roads are shut down. That all gets calculated into finding you the fastest way to get to where you want to go. So when you compare that to a person can't do that. A person would have no way of knowing what happened in I-75, 10 miles south of the Ohio exit, but a computer does because all of it goes to a database. So it makes sense as to why logistics people rely on automation to help make their jobs easier. Because if they had to do it on their own, there's lots of times where it wouldn't be accurate.
Well, and pretty soon it's going to be someone plugs in the information, it kicks out the answer, it sends it to the trucks through the Wi-Fi, and then the trucks just leave because there won't be a driver. It's just all going to be automated. Business has automated a lot of things like onboarding. So your HR department, your purchase orders, a lot of large companies are moving to these systems that when inventories drop below a certain level, it gets added to their purchase and it automates the weekly purchase like grocery stores. There is automation and AI used in marketing now. Yes, there's still a person approving, but they're using a ton of it. Accounting and finance, there's actually full systems out there where it's an AI system that you can invest in and it will go invest your money for you. And it
Really?
is 100% software.
Well, 100%. What is it?
I have to look up the names,
Oh,
but
you
it's not
receive money?
software you buy. This is like a company will let you invest and they will actually just use software to do it. And data entry, same thing. Stats and reporting. Amazon's a good example. If you catch a Thursday night football game, there's like a stat everywhere because Amazon's constantly collecting data and producing stats. It's not like the old John Madden days where you would just say some random thing. Now there's numbers everywhere, and
Oh, those are
what's
my
the
favorite
percentage
things.
of what's the percentage of chance of success and all those things. Of course, chatbots, invoicing, inventory, AI is embedded into everything in the economic side. Now, some other benefits is in our healthcare. It does a lot of things to help with organizing data, organizing information, being able to take that information and get a better answer through diagnostics. There's a massive reduction in cost in a lot of things. It will maximize labor, which not every person gets excited about that, but it will help with insurance and benefits and HR. It will create or help us create a circular economy. Remember, when we talk about sustainability, we talk about economics, environmental, and social. And right now we're talking about the economics. We're going to get to the environmental and social, even though social is kind of interweaved throughout this whole thing.
I said
These inter-
interwoven,
interwoven.
interwoven, interwoven to all of our day-to-day life.
So AI systems will help us create that circular economy, it always seems to be challenging. Where I work, they talk about the circular economy, but I don't think any person actually knows what it means because the sustainability group isn't its own group. It's part of marketing. Automated farming, which I think is really cool and amazing. It's almost like playing farm simulator at your computer at home, except for there's dust in the yard because it's actually doing it outside.
Oh, okay.
So a single person can sit and run multiple tractors through a piece of software, and those tractors are moving through the fields. You've got drones keeping an eye on it. And so you've got multiple screens seeing how your farm is being run, and you're doing it from a laptop.
That's awesome. And so that sounds really expensive.
I'm sure it is, but it does exist. GPS tractors are becoming more regular, and as you know, anything that gets purchased more and more and more, it starts to close the gap between the cost. But it will help farmers maintain some margins as there's fluctuations in cost and or pricing in the market. And not that there's still not some people around, but for those jobs, one person can do those jobs and they can track it. Now, if something breaks down, it's a whole different ordeal. AI is also very, very good at consumer tracking and prediction. As it gets more and
Hmm.
more data on people, it starts to predict. It starts to kind of, in a sense, manipulate us because it will show us what we want to see. It will create what we're used to seeing, and it will condition us to expect to see it. And that could be beneficial from a marketing perspective, but a little dangerous from a social media perspective.
One thing about social media, when you say social media perspective, it's so easy to form I don't want to say narrative, but I guess, yeah, to form a narrative online that is completely based in false information to get people on your side. It doesn't take a whole lot of info either. All you need is a couple of facts that hit emotional cues in people, and you can spin anything either way. So you can really quickly turn a big crowd of people against something like automation, or you can, really rally them behind it. It just depends on how how it's presented.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And unfortunately, in most cases, people start at the negative. So it has to be eased into the process. So that's what we were talking about for economics. I know when you have a shorter show, it's hard to get everything in there, but the economic side is so intertwined with either automation or AI or both that I don't think if we had all night, we could actually get them all.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know how long that would take. We could try.
No, no, we are not going to try.
Okay, fine.
But what I will do is I'm going to revisit your Magic Mind conversation earlier
Okay.
because I ended up getting an email from someone and they were asking me if I was still using it. And yes, because if you've been listening to the show, we talked about it there for a little bit. And then in the last couple, it wasn't on. They're reaching back out to continue being a partner with Realistic Sustainability. But yes, I absolutely still use it. I get 2 15 packs every month. I have one sitting here at Dabble, the other one at home. That way, when I show up here and I have forgotten my morning routine, I can have one here. That's probably going to stay that way. Yes, there's energy involved. Yes, there's vitamins involved. But the one thing that matters most to me is that brain clarity, that getting rid of that
Yeah.
fog. That was really starting to bother me. And so, as long as it works for that, I'll probably continue to use it. And partnership or not, again, the previous partnership lapsed. There's been discussions. They're going to come back and kind of be a part of Realistic Sustainability again. And so that means that the discount code is available again. And if you want to support Realistic Sustainability or even yourself, you can actually go to magicmind.com/sustainability20 and use the code sustainability20 on your first order and get 20% off. So, yes, it is one of those things. We're not real big on doing commercials on stuff we're not using. So, I do still use it. They are a partner again, and hopefully they'll be around for a long time because I know I'm going to be a customer for a long time.
I've seen a lot, and I mean a lot of stuff online about them recently. I've seen a lot of people posting testimonials, and I'm one of them. I think it's a fantastic product, and I think they'll be around for a while. I'm really happy to hear they're still on board.
Yeah, and it will, like I said, for me, I work a very, very mentally challenging job. I don't get really enough sleep in general, and it has affected me in the long run. It has helped me in leaps and bounds. So, without question, absolutely we'll be partners with them, and I'm going to continue to subscribe. Again, remember if you go on there, sustainability 20, that's your discount code for 20% off, and you can always let me know how you think it would. Anyways, let's get back to the show. We went through economics. Let's go to environmental. So there's a lot of pros and cons to either automation or AI. First of all, AI does a much better job with predictive models. Right now, the United States is going through some turmoil with a lot of bad storms in the southeast. In North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina got hit pretty bad. And now here, Florida, again, is getting hit a second time. When it comes to weather models, AI does a much better job of prediction than people do. So that will help with climate models, erosion, soil erosion, topsoil models, any kind of thing that we have, my animal migration. We plug that data in and it will help us understand what is going on much quicker and allow us to take action much faster. One of the problems with AI is it has an insanely large carbon footprint. And again, that only matters because of how we get our energy. Right now, we're still burning random things, most of the time coal or natural gas. So when you have these massive data farms running off of all of that electricity, its carbon footprint is pretty much insane. But if we can get to a point where we start transferring out of those feedstocks and moving more into wind and solar as a base stock and only using feedstocks like the natural gas and oil and coal as your variable source, that changes a lot.
Well, it's going to.
Another thing that it will do negative for the environment, and we're already seeing it, is it leads to faster replacement of electronics because of the new features. So you end up with a ton of additional waste because you're moving from iPhone something to iPhone something plus that now has this AI person or AI addition to Siri or whatever it happens to be. There's been a few out there already. Microsoft, a lot of the large companies, Google, Microsoft, Apple, are starting to add this AI predictive into their equipment and then offering free upgrades, which means they're going to be swapping out material or swapping out their products much, much quicker. And to be
Mhm.
honest, you know why they're doing that? They'll take a loss on the hardware because they're going to get paid on your data. They're going to get
Oh,
much better
sure.
data from us.
I mean, it's amazing what companies pay for all this data. I mean, it's like on the social media companies, when you get, your ad revenue for posting a video, you get pennies for hundreds and maybe thousands of views. But those companies that are placing ads on those, you know what I'm saying? Or
Mhm.
companies that are purchasing data are paying so much more. It's insane. Like it is. I wish I had numbers for it, Michael. It's nuts.
Another interesting thing that AI and automation will do is create those smart microgrids we've talked about for the last, 4 years, 5 years. And once we get those different feedstocks and we have to balance the grid better, you have these smart microgrids that will allow energy to move from place to place that isn't set up in such a way that a squirrel can take out the whole eastern seaboard, that it will isolate where the problem is and then allow the rest of the grid to work and be able to balance those systems based on needs. Because again, it can predict when we're going to use more and when we're going to use less. And it will greatly reduce the amount of consumption on energy when we get to that point, which also then helps our carbon footprint on the data farms and the AI units. There's also improved recycling. Not only can we predict different and better ways to recycle things, different and better ways to use recycled material, but it will give us different and better ways to recycle. And that will help with that circular economy that business is struggling with so much right now. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I did write some information about the data centers. So when we're talking about the massive data centers that are required to run these predictive systems and the electricity that comes with it, what I found on here is worse yet for the environment is how much water is used in the cooling of those systems.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I should have gone in and looked and seen how many gigawatts of power, but I was kind of wowed by the water usage. Google data centers used in, let me see, what year do I have this? I think it's in 21. They used 16.3 billion liters or 4.3 billion gallons of water to cool the data centers. And that was in 21. And that increased 30% year over year. So now we're talking 21.1 billion liters or 5.66 billion gallons of water just for Google. We're not talking Microsoft or Amazon, just Google. That's how much water was used and consumed in the process of trying to keep those systems cool.
That's insane. Like that is true. I don't understand they use the liquid cooling. That's I can't even begin to emphasize how much water that is. People don't comprehend it.
Well, and we're not even talking, yes, those are big companies with big data centers, but there are some bit like Palantir is a company whose sole purpose is to collect data so that you can sort it how you want. There are massive amounts of companies out there that all they do is data, and that's how they cool it, liquid cooled. So, an environmental side, you've got problems with consumption of energy. You absolutely have problems with consumption of water. And we're also very likely to produce more waste because of how quickly we're turning over devices. But on the flip side, we're getting better predictive models for storms. It will help us
Mhm.
better prepare for extreme weather. It will help with recycling, and at some point, it will fix our energy problems. So it's standing on both sides of the scale. So now that we've taken a look at two of those legs, the third one is the social aspect, which we talked about a little bit in the beginning. But I want to bring up. I just went up north, spent some time with my brother Sean, my sisters Amy and Megan, and that's in case anybody's wondering, the other side of the family. It's not that we just left Nick. That's just a different side of the family.
They never invite me to anything.
And here we are up north, kind of in the middle of nowhere. I understand it's the populated portion of up north, but that's still very much almost in the middle of nowhere. Where my older brother was startled by Tally, the robot working the aisle while we were there. Did you see that video?
I see a still shot of it because I hadn't hit play. I did not watch it.
Hmm. It was talking to us and making sounds, and you could walk over and scan things, and it said it had something on it talking about how it helps track inventory. And this little bot just wanders around the store. And it was kind of funny because I think it's great. I'm over there playing with it, and my older brother's like, "I don't like Tally. You go away. We don't need you no more." It's funny how two different people react to this one same thing. Now he's obviously kidding, but how many people go into that store up north and are like, "Nope, I won't go down that aisle because there's a robot in there."
So before I answer that, because I do have something to say, what store was it?
Oh shoot, it was Robertson's. I think it
Okay,
was.
not a store that I'm familiar with.
It's one of their grocery stores, and I may be getting the name Rogers. I think it was Rogers, not Robinson's. It was Rogers, but it's their big grocery chain.
I like to mess with the ones at Sam's Club. They don't talk to you. All they do, as far as I'm aware, are they just clean the aisles. They clean the aisle, and they have a, oh gosh, like a yellow caution tape that it rigs something up and it can hold the automatic in play. But they just go down the aisles, and if they come in contact, they beep and they back up, they turn around and go the other way. They look some kind of low proximity alarm, and like for some reason, I like to make them turn around. I'm gonna jump in front of it just to see how close it'll get to me. I'm a giant child. I mean, I just want to see how good the technology is, how fast it reacts, and stuff like that. And they're pretty good. I mean, they're not exactly built for speed. You know, they're only going a little tiny crawl. You could easily walk faster than one. It's not like they're hustling.
It's just a commercial Roomba.
I'd like to leave like somewhere between a Roomba and a Zamboni.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see, and you just jump in front of it because you're just going to impose your will on it.
Well, I probably weigh more than it does, so yes. I will Darwinism the robot, but I'm just kidding. But it's just fun.
So the first big problem with automation and AI on the social side is job loss. Now, I say that loosely because that only matters if we don't have a society that takes care of the individual. If
Yeah.
everything is still purely capitalism and everybody has to fight for the lowest amount of, income for a job, then yeah, we're going to have a big problem because anything that has to do with driving, anything that has to do with logistics, customer service primarily. I mean, shoot, we even use as an engineer software that has predictive capabilities or AI capabilities to check different options that might happen in engineering. I use it on a regular basis. So it's not just one job, a lot of jobs could be eliminated very quickly if we allowed it. And that could be chaos. Unless we start having a functioning government that worries less about finances and more about people, then that's going to be an issue. So I wrote it as a negative, even though in all reality, it should be a positive. There's going to be more information at a touch of a button, which means that we as human beings will be able to have more access to more information even than what we do today because it can collect that information and synthesize answers much quicker than we can. And it will put more products in front of us. So to me, this is a plus minus. It's great that we can learn more, but it's also going to manipulate our emotions and get us to buy more things. Both of those kind of go hand in hand. Now, I wrote this as a plus and a negative too. AI has already proven that humans are pretty darn easy to influence, both in good and bad manners. Unfortunately, the internet always starts on the negative side, but people quickly and easily believe most things that they're seeing, which, I mean, shoot, not too long ago, they were showing I'm just going to use Facebook as an example because it's abundant. All these people were fighting, arguing. There was a massive amount of comment on this photo, and it was a robot picking in a field. The
Yeah.
robot wasn't even touching the ground. They didn't bother to Photoshop it like all the way.
Mhm.
And its hand is open, to hold the lettuce or whatever, but the lettuce is stuck to the outside of the hand. Like it was not even a good Photoshop.
Yeah.
And I bet you that person who posted that made massive amount of money on that one
Possibly.
post because it was hundreds of thousands of comments of people just losing their mind. And it was, if we took any more than 15 seconds to really look at it, it wasn't a real photo in any way, shape, or form. But we are so manipulated so quickly that it got everybody going. And there's probably one person super happy about it because they got what they would call their viral moment and probably a pretty hefty paycheck from it.
I don't doubt it. I mean, when it comes to anything that's polarizing, we start breaching the topic of confirmation bias because if you already believe something, even if you haven't quite admitted it out loud yet, all it takes is something really, really small to tip the scales on the way you feel and your beliefs into, oh, yep, there it is. That seals the deal. And then we were off to the races with all this public ridiculousness. It's huge in politics, and anything that is polarizing tends to be very heavy in politics or used by politics. It's ridiculous. It's just
Mhm.
fortunately it's part of our daily life. Social media has done nothing but make it worse. Honestly, I love social media. I use a lot of it, but it really has just made the problem way, 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 way worse.
Well, that's why I use social media too. I use it for this show. I use it to show the work we're doing with that house. A lot of things, everything but my personal life. Anything you see on my Facebook, if you've joined my Facebook and you see me, it's because Jamie has probably posted it or someone else has tagged me. I put most of the things we're doing on there, but I also try to make sure everything that we post is positive. That if I post something, it's about leadership. It's about kindness. It is something positive because people use it in a negative way doesn't mean that some of us can't use it for the right way. And we'll
Oh, of
continue to
course.
do that. And speaking of social media, that also will get to a point in which it will help it bring more education. There needs to be some kind of separation or wall between fact and fiction. So it makes it easier to be educated on something. But for countries all over the world that do not have a world-class education, the internet, AI, automation, and predictiveness of it all can bring that world-class education to any corner of the world. And that's a big deal too.
It is a big deal. I do agree with that. I do think that relies heavily on people that are doing the base programming to be completely objective with what they put in there. Because with the most of the programming in these AI things, it's just mathematical parameters. I mean, it's ones and zeros, and you can really shape the way it responds to people based on what you do or don't believe, or what you're being paid to put based on who's doing the funding. I know I'm always the one who plays the devil's advocate, but I am the guy who's terrified of Terminator. So I'm always looking for the person creating Skynet.
No, really what we have primarily is just predictive units. They're not making decisions per se. They're choosing probabilities. So a big thing is going to be better and better as we go is how it works in healthcare. Just like I said before, it's much easier to diagnose a problem when all of the information is in there. As amazing as doctors are, they cannot understand and know everything where these systems can. Your data tracking, which means that all of the tests you've ever had your whole life, it can see the trends, it can see what's going on and start to predict health issues. That's kind of cool because then you can start heading things off in advance. Now, here's one I wrote as a plus, but a lot of people are going to call a negative. It helps with crime prevention. But in order to help with crime prevention, you get what everybody calls Big Brother. You get collected data about individuals, you get facial recognition, you get predictive behavioral models, you get all those things that people are very scared of with your Skynet scariness, but can also be used to prevent crimes by simply knowing that there's less people in an area and that area has a higher crime rate, that it's more likely to have someone there that will do something. Now you can redistribute your police force accordingly.
Yeah, math.
Math, probabilities. But you start putting up cameras, you start using facial recognition, you start using other aspects of AI and predictiveness, then you start getting into the based on the current pattern of the data we have, you're going to commit a murder. So we're going to arrest you now. I don't remember what movie that was, but those kinds of futuristic scariness that have a possibility with that technology. So there really has to be a regulation holding people accountable that utilize.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you just said. I wish we had more access to some of the stuff that we probably don't need access to. Like, I would love to be able to put like a picture into Google and it can locate all the other places that that picture's been posted.
You can. It's called Google Lens. It's the button in
Yeah,
the top right of the search.
except for that doesn't work with people's faces. Generally, if there's anything easily identifiable in the picture, shirts, necklaces, hats, they'll show you where to buy it. Or if it's a landmark, they'll show you where it is. But if you look, I put my face in Google, there's like it will definitely pop up two websites, Facebook and Instagram, because they're on my phone. But if you do it to anyone else that you don't know, then it doesn't produce results. Which I understand it's a privacy thing. However, being a child of comic books and science fiction movies, and I'm on a supercomputer, Michael.
Feel like this would work. You know, I'm trying it right now.
You should.
So, Aiden, I found his pictures of him in boot camp. So let's take Aiden and see if we can find him. Oh, I'm doing it wrong. I guess I better not do it while we're recording. It may take a moment. But I do believe, because I use Google Lens for a lot of different things, mostly plants. Which is, I'm sure, a bit weird, but I use it to understand what plants I'm looking at before I'm cutting things down. Or Edison brought home a plant and was like, "This is my potted plant," and it looked an awful lot like a weed, and it is. But I use Google Lens to find out some of those things. But yeah, there's also some really cool stuff that AI software helps with, and that's like exoskeletons. So you can get software driven versions of those so that it helps with how it works. It's not just a hydraulic, but you can get some that will better distribute the weight, better distribute the power, those kinds of things. Plus robots. It also will help reduce human error in a lot of different places, and always, at least at this point, is big for human safety.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I like the exoskeletons a lot. I don't know. I think that there's lots of aspects to this stuff that I guess, like I said, Michael, I've got all these imaginary things I want to do with it. I want to build a transformer. I want an Iron Man suit. Like, there's lots of things I want to do with AI. And
I knew Iron Man suit was going to be there. I knew that was going to be one of them when you talk about exoskeletons.
preferably War Machine. You know, it's bigger, bulkier, better looking, has bigger guns. Not as fast, but I mean, it's huge. And or like the movie RoboCop, like that was awesome. He wasn't exactly built for speed, but he was the bomb diggity.
Right. Yeah, that was not a competitive robot in today's day and age. So, anyways, so anytime we look at these kinds of factors, we're going to try to break them down as we should in sustainability. Plus, I might be teaching sustainability at the University of Michigan here soon, so I better get practicing. And that is everything that we look at, we should look at it from those three different angles. Economic, which most people hate, but it is very important to be sustainable, environmental, and social. And that's what we tried to do today. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that we missed. Put them in the comments, send them as an email. Let's have a conversation. I like doing that. And if it's something that just put in there, is it for Mike? Is it for Nick? Is it for both of us? Is it for Rob? Is it for Jameson? Just let us know. We'd like to have those conversations back and forth. And the more we do that, the more we all learn. So thank you very much. Oh, and remember, if you want to support realistic sustainability and yourself, magicmind.com/sustainability20. You'll get 20% off your subscription. And that way you can see if it works the same for you. Again, mental clarity for me. There's energy boost and all kinds of things that you can get from that. on top of just simply getting your vitamins each day, because I don't always eat the things that are going to give me those vitamins. So again, sustainability 20. Use that when you go to pay and get 20% off. And again, remember what we're trying to do is get a little bit better every single week. Little bit, big bit. I'm Mike,
Yeah, Nick.
and we will see you soon.